Most people believe recovery is something you do alone. That if addiction is personal, then the solution has to be personal too. But that doesn't seem to hold up. The places where addiction is strongest are often where connection has broken down. The places where recovery works best are built on trust, support, and shared experience. So something doesn't add up. If isolation fuels addiction, why do we treat recovery as an individual task? And if the assumption is wrong, what does recovery actually depend on? Drugs and Addiction, an Anarchist Perspective, Dickie Dredd. This is part 66 of the video series, Chapter 9, Beyond Abstinence. And we're now on to part 67 in the book, which is The Collective Cure, Mutual Aid and Solidarity Networks. Autonomy finds its proof in relationship. The self recovered in section 65 is only half formed until it meets others without domination. Addiction isolates through shame and secrecy. Recovery matures through reciprocity. Freedom, therefore, is never solitary. It expands through care that moves both ways. As explored in section 57, ecological participation taught that survival depends on interdependence. The same principle governs social healing. Mutual aid circles, recovery cafes, and peer-run clinics demonstrate that care need not descend from institutions. Each functions as a miniature commons of trust, where responsibility circulates horizontally rather than vertically. The ethic is simple: look after one another so that no one must be owned. Anarchist theory names this solidarity rather than service. The nurse who listens outside protocol, the friend who stays awake for another's night sweat, the volunteer at a welfare tent during a storm, all practice politics at its most elemental. Compassion becomes infrastructure. As Kropotkin argued, cooperation is not sentiment but strategy, the evolutionary logic of survival itself. What begins as empathy hardens into resilience. Festivals, collectives and community gardens provide living laboratories for this principle. The dance floor, the soup kitchen and the repair workshop all blur the line between therapy and contribution. Every act of giving reinforces belonging. Every acceptance of help dissolves hierarchy. Such exchanges cultivate what I call shared stewardship, care without command. Freedom is measured not by distance from others, but by quality of connection. These networks also counter the economic coercion described in section 53, where the market individualises need, mutual care collectivises it. Food shares, cooperative housing and harm reduction networks redistribute both risk and relief. Alexander showed that social dislocation breeds addiction. Reconnection, therefore, is the only durable cure. The addict who learns to depend again without surrendering autonomy re-enters society as participant rather than patient. The challenge lies in maintaining equality inside care itself. Help offered from above reproduces dependency. Help exchanged as dialogue restores agency. The anarchist model of peer support insists on rotation and transparency. Roles shared, stories equal, no permanent experts. As Freire wrote, liberation education requires the teacher and student learn together. The same is true of healing. Each encounter re-educates the healer. This relational freedom reaches beyond the human. As section 57 noted, stewardship of land, water and species mirrors stewardship of one another. A river kept clean is an act of social care. A restored wetland is communal therapy. The boundaries of compassion widen until politics and ecology become one project, the recovery of relationship itself. Freedom as relation, therefore, completes the circle begun in section 54. Rhythm becomes community, autonomy becomes reciprocity. No longer the lonely hero of abstinence, the recovering person becomes collaborator in a living system of support. Each gesture, offering food, holding space, tending soil, is both moral and medicinal. The self is sustained not by independence, but by interdependence freely chosen. So addiction was never an individual problem. It grows in disconnection, and it weakens through relationship, trust and shared responsibility, which means systems built on isolation, discipline and personal failure are targeting the wrong thing. So if recovery isn't something you achieve alone, why are we still treating it that way? And if that assumption collapses, what else about addiction have we misunderstood? Next up, we're still in Chapter 9, Beyond Abstinence, and it's Section 68, Pleasure Reclaimed, Joy as Resistance.